Hello, everybody. So, being a Washingtonian, I knew Sondra Bender from afar. Sondra was very beautiful and had a special aura about her. I will always remember on a December day during the holidays, Sondra walked into the nail salon with a magnificent basket of goodies for the entire shop. Her kindness and inner beauty was so obvious to me. Courtenay, Madison, Sophie, and I are honored to be the recipient of the first three-generational award for community service and leadership in Sondra D. Bender's name. I am humbled to be in the company of such extraordinary women, an extraordinary group of women, and I want to congratulate all of the honorees. Learning about your work inspires me and enhances my abiding belief in the goodness and potential of humankind. I grew up culturally Jewish, probably like most of you in the audience today. My family celebrated the holidays. I went to Hebrew school, reluctantly, but thankfully, I do have fond memories of my confirmation. My husband, Robert, and I raised our three daughters in a Jewish home. Each of them became a bat mitzvah and were confirmed. In the summer of 1996, we visited Capitol Camps, a pluralistic Jewish camp in Pennsylvania. Upon arriving at camp, just in time for Shabbat services, we saw 300 children from ages 8 to 18, all dressed in white, arm in arm, singing Shalom Aleichem and welcoming in the Shabbat. After a short service, we headed to the dining room, if you could even call it that. The camp and the dining hall were dilapidated and run down. However, the singing, the ruach, which means spirit, and the happiness overwhelmed us. Our hearts were overcome with emotion and our eyes filled with tears. This was a feeling in me that I had never experienced before and was a seminal moment in my Jewish journey. Capital camps needed us, but we needed them just as much. It became our passion to help build a world-class Jewish camp and retreat center. Thankfully, the main ingredients were already there: happy Jewish children. A few years later, when our first granddaughter, Madison, was born, I remember the joy of those campers and wanted to give this experience to all of my grandchildren. Celebrating Shabbat together became our new family tradition that we still do to this day. My pearl of wisdom is that it's never too late to begin a new Jewish family tradition. It is more important today than ever to be proud of our Judaism and to continue instilling Jewish values, traditions, and the spirit of tzedakah for all our children, our grandchildren, and for all future generations.
My Jewish and cultural journey first began when I attended preschool at what is now known as the Bender JCC in Rockville, Maryland, thanks to the vision and generosity of the amazing Bender family who are here with us today. Over the years, I have watched my parents model generosity and the importance of Jewish philanthropy. They have always given back to our community and to Israel. So 45 years after I was a preschooler at the JCC, I joined my parents again at the Bender JCC as they chaired Good Deeds Day. I was then introduced to Zach Britton and Avital Ingber of the Federation, who invited me that very day on a trip to Israel with the Jewish Women's Renaissance Project, now known as Momentum. That trip with a cohort of women from my community was the pivotal moment in my Jewish journey. My involvement with Women's Philanthropy of Federation, my sisterhood at the Washington Hebrew Congregation, and with the FIDF Women's Brigade over the years has given me more than I could have ever imagined. I have made many new friendships with women of all generations. I have traveled on missions to Israel. I've led a mission to Budapest and Prague with other women in our community. I am so thankful to be part of such a strong and vibrant Jewish community, and even more thankful to be part of these organizations since the atrocities committed on October 7th. My pearl of wisdom is to find something you are passionate about and build your community. Surround yourselves with like-minded women, because we are the future. Teach your children kindness and generosity to those less fortunate. I know my daughters, Madison and Sophie, are passionate about their Jewish identity, their communities, and Israel because they have learned from the generations before them.
Thanks, Mom and Gaga. Ever since I can remember, going to Shabbat dinner at my Gaga and Papa's house was what I looked forward to every week. We would get to invite our friends, and even as we got older and our social life became more of a priority, Shabbat dinner was never a question. It was always a given. Our family was fortunate to come together after a long week to pause and reflect over a delicious meal surrounded by those who we love the most. Being Jewish has always been an important part of my life. I went to Hebrew school, shared my bat mitzvah with my sister, was confirmed at Washington Hebrew, where both my parents grew up, and spent many summers at sleepaway camp. But at 16, I took a risk to get out of my comfort zone. I was fortunate to spend the most transformative summer of my life in 2014 attending the Alexander Muss High School in Israel. As most of you recall, that summer was the Israel-Gaza war known as Operation Protective Edge. Once the war began to ramp up, we were in and out of bomb shelters almost daily. My parents and grandparents felt it was safer for me to return home. While I was not happy about leaving Israel, this experience ultimately strengthened the friendships I had made through Muss. I also now know firsthand what it's like to live in fear and the constant unknown. To this day, I still feel sad about the abrupt end to my first Israel experience. I left a piece of my heart behind in Israel. Since that summer, I've been back to Israel with my entire family, on birthright with my sorority SDT, and this past May, I led a life-changing mission for Friends of the IDF's young leadership to bear witness to the aftermath of the attacks on October 7th. I graduated in 2020, and as you may remember, it was not a typical time by any means. I spent half of my last semester at home. When I finally started my job, I was completely remote and still living with my parents. I moved to New York while the country was still shut down from COVID. I had to push myself to make a new life and find community. In 2021, at the encouragement of my grandparents, I attended the FIDF Young Leadership Gala. For me, that night was the beginning of so many new friendships and opportunities. My pearl of wisdom is to take risks and get out of your comfort zone. I took a chance on spending that summer in Israel and later by attending an FIDF event. I now serve on the executive board of FIDF Young Leadership, and just last week, I chaired their annual gala. Spending that summer in Israel helped me to appreciate my love for the Jewish people, as well as see firsthand the existential threat that Israelis face daily. And watching my grandparents' leadership in the FIDF, as well as my mother's involvement with Women's Philanthropy, has shown me what community leadership really looks like. becoming involved with an organization that is meaningful to you may even lead to other opportunities and a brand new community of like-minded friends. Thanks, Madison. As the youngest, I'm used to going last, and now you all see the legacy of women I've been watching my entire life. In 10th grade, I transferred to the Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School, stepping into a world where I knew almost no one. Having grown up in non-Jewish schools, I had no idea what to expect, how the culture would feel, what the classes would be like, or where I would fit in. What I found was a transformative experience that deepened my connection to my Jewish heritage in ways I never anticipated. It was there that I met one of my best friends, discovered a newfound sense of independence, and built resilience through a 3-week journey to Poland and Prague, followed by the life-changing opportunity to live in Israel with my senior class. Living alongside Israeli teenagers who were preparing to serve in the IDF while I was focused on college plans and dorm decorations put so much into perspective. I realized how different our realities were, but I also felt an unshakable bond with them and their resilience. Those experiences planted the seeds of a love for Israel that continues to grow within me. In 2022, I returned to Israel on a birthright trip. And just this past summer, I had the privilege of joining FIDF on a young leadership mission where I witnessed the devastating aftermath of the October 7th attacks. The war in Israel has affected me deeply. I lost a classmate, Omer Balva, from JDS, a kind, driven young man with an extraordinary future ahead of him. I also lost a dear friend I met during my time living there. Their memories have become a driving force in my life, inspiring me to honor their legacies. A few months ago, I helped organize a Shabbat dinner in Omer's honor for 75 young Jewish adults in New York City. The experience of coming together, sharing a meal, and celebrating Shabbat was not just healing. It was a powerful reminder of the strength we find in community. My pearl of wisdom is this. Pearls, like people, aren't perfect. Each one is shaped over time by challenges and experiences, and their beauty lies in their uniqueness. My experiences in Israel and my family's commitment to Jewish causes shaped me into someone who understands the importance of standing up for what's right. They've taught me to use my voice, especially for those who can't. I am proud to be a Jewish woman, and I will always stand with Israel and our people. This responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. Our legacy is built on resilience, generosity, and the courage to act, and it inspires me every day to do my part. I will continue my family's legacy of giving back to our community and to Israel, knowing that the values we uphold today will shape the future for generations to come. Together, we have the power to make a difference, and I intend to honor that responsibility with all my heart.